So here we are picking it up in part two. Yay. Communications media. This is our topic that we left off on. So the communications media that you're going to pick for your network is going to depend on how much information you plan to exchange and the speed at which that data should be exchanged along the way. Maybe even you'd consider some data privacy concerns, as we just talked about in your WAN, right? Or your LAN, maybe if you're just a California company, you certainly want to be in compliance with CCPA. Maybe you would consider, are you going to have stationary or mobile devices? What are your business requirements around those? That's what an information systems manager would be concerned about. Now, here is a picture of some of the media that you would want to choose, right? You can, so cabling can be very important. I just installed in my house fiber optic cable so I can get wicked great download and upload speeds and reduced latency. Coaxial cable is also a common choice, or twisted pair. You can see it depends on, and so they'll twist the cables to give some protection against the data transferring or moving around within the cabling itself. But the very best is this fiber optic cable. These are glass cables where the information data is sent over light. Phenomenal rapid speeds. This is the way it's going. Okay, now continuing with communications, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't touch on wireless communications, right? Because wireless provides an awful lot of freedoms and advantages that force organizations to consider moving to it, right? And so there are any number of things that you want to consider. How do you connect to the signal? You want to make sure that is secure. Then you want to make sure your access point that you're connecting from your computer to a wireless network, you want to make sure that access point will only allow your managed compute machine on it. So that wireless access point, before it allows you access to the wireless network, is going to check and make sure your device is authorized on an ACL, right? A control list, for example. And so common other types of wireless communication that we use every day now are near field communications. We use NFC, or near field communications. This is a very short range wireless connectivity that enables two devices within inches of each other to exchange data. So we do that with our credit cards now when we hold them up to the machine with Apple Pay, for example, or Google Pay. We do these at a redemption center at a theater, a ticket redemption center. Maybe it's an access authentication for your office door. We've all done this when unlocking our car doors, right? As we get close to it, it's communicating within inches and says, okay, I got it. Unlock the car. This is the owner. So it's really kind of cool what you can do with wireless communications today. Okay, so the wireless communication signals are sent over, the only point to this slide would be that signals are sent over a range of frequencies across this electromagnetic spectrum. And so this figure 7.6 represents the entire range of light that exists from long waves to short waves. Really don't worry about this slide. Just realize, do get this, that depending on the wireless communication you choose, you will have various frequencies involved, and those can interfere with other frequencies. That's the question an information systems manager would want to ask, that we've deconflicted frequencies so that we don't interrupt the bosses, the CEOs large screen TVs and remote control capability. They will interfere, right? So you want to make sure you cover down on those items. Okay, this is a description of the light signals used in wireless networks. They're usually broadcast over one of three frequency ranges. There is a microwave range, there is a radio wave, and infrared ranges. And you can see a short description. Just be aware that there are these sort of frequency ranges and how we're going to apply them in the workspace and deconflict them along the way. Continuing with that theme of wireless, we all likely use Bluetooth, which is a wireless communication specification. If you go back to your phone, near your PAN or personal hotspot that we talked about, if you go to settings, you'll see airplane mode, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cellular, and personal hotspot, amongst others. So in Bluetooth, this is a wireless communication specification that describes how your computer or cell phone or printer or whatever electronic device is using Bluetooth can be interconnected. Now this distance, remember near field communications was within inches. This is 10 to 30 feet transmission rate of about 2 megabytes per second. I use it at the gym with my headset regularly, Bluetooth, and I walk away from my phone as I do various machines, and I believe I go beyond 30 feet, but it's advertised 10 to 30 feet. Wi-Fi is another one. If you go to your phone and check settings, this is a wireless network brand that's owned by the Wi-Fi Alliance, right? And this consists of about 300 technology companies. And so, and it's based on the IEEE 802.11 standard, which is nice. That allows us over Wi-Fi to communicate with each other because we're using a common standard. This are some of the various IEEE standards that are used, right? It started with .11a, and you can see .11b is a little bit slower, and .11g went back to the same speed as A. But there are various other comments and components among those. Now, notice that 802.11 AC, very fast, right? And so that's the latest standard in wireless communications from this Wi-Fi Alliance, right? Provides higher data transmission speeds and more stable connections. And it can transmit at either 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz, depending on how you set it up. So very effective, very fast, especially in the business environment. Now, when it comes to communications media, so we have this, we've been talking this wired network, right? So you'll want to pick your topology, which will include this wireless capability. And you'll want to have WAPs, or wireless access points. Here it is down here at the bottom. So your on-ground network, your computer, your laptop can connect to the wireless. And from the wireless access point, it'll be secure, right? So it'll encrypt your communication between, it should, the best ones, between your laptop and the wireless access point, and it'll make sure you're authorized on the network. At that point, it will allow you access to the network, and you're either going out to the internet or on the company's wired network along the way. So that's pretty exciting. Now, the continuing with the communications media, the high frequency communications is really in the range of 300 megahertz to 300 gigahertz, and that signal is sent through the air. Now, there are terrestrial microwaves. These are earthbound. So terrestrial microwaves are transmitted line of sight, right? So the line of sight between the transmitter and the receiver have to be unobstructed. So one of the reasons we put cell phone towers on hills or make them very tall along the way. This is a picture of how communication satellites operate in this microwave frequency range, connecting those cell phone towers, as I just mentioned. More about that in your book. Now, 4G, it was the latest. Now we're moving on to 5G. But frankly, these are generations of wireless communications, right? And so the long-term evolution, sometimes called LTE, is the standard for wireless communication for mobile phones, right? And so that's based on packet switching, which is an entirely different approach from circuit switching in 3G. Anyhow, we don't really need to get into that, but just know that there's this evolution going on. And we've even moved to 5G. 5G is a term that identifies the next major phase of mobile comms, right? Beyond 4G. And when it's fully implemented, 5G is going to enable a lot of exciting applications that just can't work at these slower speeds. And so maybe autonomous cars, right? They can work at 5G. Maybe there'll be smart roads, right? Which will change color and lighting and lane annotations based on safety. We need 5G for that. Augmented reality is another one that works very well in 5G. So here is a picture of how the new 5G smartphones are paired with the 5G network to offer that virtual reality experience, right? And so even Google had some setbacks in implementing its VR reality using the phone without 5G. So it's a challenge, but 5G is going to get us there along the way. Now, all of this requires computing software. Software between these hardware devices make this work. So some types of software to be aware of. One is NOS, or the Network Operating System. And so this is a system software that controls the computer systems and devices on a network. And it allows, this network operating system allows these systems to communicate with each other. It will perform similar functions as the operating system on your own computer, right? So your own computer has an operating system and it's talking to this network operating system. So some of the similar features would be memory, task management, coordination between the hardware like your own computer and the printer, for example. And so network management is going to include a wide range of technologies and process. You're going to be monitoring the network. You're going to be identifying problems that can create serious impact. That's what the NOS is going to do for you. And it's going to work with network management software along the way. And there are any number of network management tools that can do that and send data back to the networking team, right? A special form of network management software would even be ATM machines and monitoring their performance. And then I'll just mention MDM software. This is software that manages and troubleshoots your mobile devices routinely, right? Maybe it pushes applications and patches and data and other settings for security. With MDM software, there's usually a central group that's going to maintain a group of policies for security, which is why in the workspace, any cell phone attached to your network, you want to have an MDM as well. I just wanted to touch on then the SD-WAN. I mentioned it earlier as the wide area network. This is software-defined WAN. This is an emerging approach to networking that's going to allow you to have programmable, centralized control over your network without physical access to the machine. Okay, I'm going to pause there, and then we'll come back.